This video is sponsored by Surfshark, the best VPN on the market. Surfshark is an app or browser extension that allows you to change your location to access websites in other countries and keep you safe from hackers. For example, we here in Ireland can access other countries' Netflix libraries, streaming services such as DAZN in Spain for those all-important Premier League games. Surfshark keeps you safe and private by protecting everything you do online. When your device connects to the internet, all that information is, in a way, blurred out. Surfshark is particularly useful for keeping you safe if you use public Wi-Fi, such as a college or a cafe. Surfshark allows you to use one subscription on unlimited devices, meaning that you can even share an account with friends and family. On top of this, Surfshark offers a 30-day money-back guarantee, so if you don't like it, you can even get your money back. Our sign-up offer gives you Surfshark VPN for just over €2 per month and up to 4 months free. Why not scan the QR code on screen or use the link in the description to take advantage of this offer. What is up, my friends? Your weekend has officially started. You're very welcome along to Friday night's late night agenda. Tonight we're going to be talking about transfer links, of course. We're going to have a little look ahead to the game against Spurs coming up on Sunday. We'll also talk about, well, more transfer gossip, to be quite honest with you, because there is a lot to get through today. We'll be asking, is Florian Wirtz really a Ballon d'Or contender? The club certainly believe so, and I have to say, so do I. I don't mean for this season, but I mean, will he win a Ballon d'Or in his career? I think he has a really good chance. We'll talk about that tonight. We'll talk about some of the quotes from Arne Slot in his press conference ahead of the Spurs game, and we'll give you the really bad list of Spurs players who are not going to be available for them. It's good news for us, of course, but not great for them in regards to their fight with relegation. That even feels weird to say. Still talking about Spurs as genuine relegation contenders is a weird one. Seen Diamande and love what he does, never stops moving, said Tom. And thank you, Tom. 8 months with us, my man. 2/3 of the way to the year. Appreciate you. Yeah, I've been really impressed, Tom, when I've watched them as well. Really exciting player. You have to remind yourself he's still only 19 years of age as well with Yan Diamande. Yeah, I'd love him to come in. I really would. The Anthony Gordon story. Look, of course, I will give you guys the meat on the bones of that one, where it actually comes from. We'll talk about that in a little while as well. It's not just me trying to shoehorn Anthony Gordon in to a conversation, but with that in mind, we do have the question asked, would you be happy if Liverpool signed Anthony Gordon? You know my take on this one. I've long been an Anthony Gordon admirer. I think he's a very good player. It would have to be at the right price for me, but with regards to the quality of the kid, the fact he's a Liverpool fan, I would be more than happy if Liverpool brought in Anthony Gordon. But, you know, let's wait and see what happens in the summer. We'll be taking you through some of the thoughts from the guys at the Echo as well. We'll have a little bit on that, including results being noisy, according to Michael Edwards. We'll tell you what exactly he means by that over the next bit as well. Right, let's start off by giving you the list of players that are going to be unavailable for Spurs for this weekend's game. I mean, Arne bangs on about injuries, and not just him. Other managers go on about injury lists and whatnot, but this really is a list of, wow, they are 13 players out for them for the game, whether it's illness, suspension or injury. Not going to be taking part for Spurs will be Mickey van de Ven, Radu Dragusin, Christian Raniero, João Palhinha, Yves Bissouma, Conor Gallagher, Dejan Kulusevski, James Maddison, Mohamed Kudus, Destiny Udogie, Lucas Bergvall, Wilson Odobert, Rodrigo Bentancur, Ben Davies, all out for Igor Tudor. That's a tough list, to be fair. You do have to feel a little bit of sympathy for the Spurs fans and, of course, the Spurs manager, particularly at this point of the season where they are genuinely just hovering above relegation. If we get knocked out by Gala, do FSG backslaw? See, this is what gets me in trouble, right? Last night, a gentleman came in and said he's leaving because he's sick of me going on about the manager. The manager gets brought up by comments and I have to address them. Tonight, honestly, I came into this stream and I wanted to talk about positive stuff. And I do want to talk about positive stuff because I think we have a nice week ahead of us. Spurs at the weekend, Galatasaray on Wednesday, and genuinely, I'm expecting 2 wins, and 2 fairly comfortable wins at that. So yeah, I wanted to talk about positives tonight. I wanted to look ahead to those 2 games, and I really don't think there is much chance of us getting knocked out by Galatasaray. I really don't, and I'm not just trying to be facetious with that. I don't think they're great away from home at all. And the next couple of games are games that I genuinely, even as bad as we've been, think we're going to win and think we're going to win quite comfortably. Eddie said yes because we need homegrown players. Good point. Fair point, Eddie. And if you add that into the mix, it certainly goes into the plus column for Anthony Gordon. Look, I know he divides opinion amongst Liverpool fans. Some think he's more than good enough. Some think he's absolutely nowhere near. But I got to remind you as well that this kid's only getting towards his prime. So the best is still yet to come from Anthony Gordon. And when I've watched Newcastle, more often than not, in the front line, he's been their standout player. Look, obviously we talk a lot about Bruno Guimaraes. We'll talk about other players that they have in midfield, like Sandro Tonali, who probably steal the headlines quite a bit. But I really do rate Anthony Gordon, and I wouldn't say no at the right price. But right now, Yan Diomande would be where I would be looking to go if I was Liverpool. Why is this? My mouse has been acting weird lately. Let me just turn it back off and on. I don't know what it is. This thing is, maybe I need a new one. But yeah, it's been acting up a little bit lately. Now she's back on. Where are you? Where are you, mousey? Yeah, I don't know why it's recording for me at the same time. Right, Tyler said, Slot has ruined this team with his tactics, playing players out of position, snail's pace and boring football. Well, on that, let me read through some of what the manager has had to say in his press conference ahead of the game. Right, let me read you through some of Arne's quotes ahead of the game, and then we'll see what people think. He's had quite a bit to say. So, speaking to Sky Sports News, he said, I'm 100% sure that the best is still to come because there's individual progress to be made and it's already happening. Now, on that, I actually agree that the best is yet to come from this group of Liverpool players. And I do think we will be better next season, come what may. Whoever's in charge, whether it is Arne or somebody else, I really do think we'll be in a better position. Also, Arne said this, I'm not saying we're playing the best football I've ever seen, but in 8 out of 10 games, maybe even more, we were better than the other team. We're creating more chances than the other team. All the data is in our favour, but not always that is shown in the score. Even against Galatasaray, where we didn't play our best game of the season, we had multiple very good chances, but we weren't able to score. It has happened too many times to us this season that the first chance we concede is immediately a goal, and that changes the momentum of the game. That's usually not helpful, and apart from that, there's something else I need to address with the players, and we need to do better. But that's something that for now stays between the players. He also went on to say, I think we've got a squad that has shown this season already that we've improved. And these players will be able to improve much more in the coming years. So, as I've said many times, the future looks bright for Liverpool. And he's not wrong. I think the future does look bright for Liverpool. Now, there is still some concerning aspects of squad management that I think we need to look at. Certainly, we need to stop the running down of contracts and we need to keep an eye on that moving forward to make sure we don't get into this position again. But we do have a good future ahead of us with good talent coming through at underage levels as well. We've got Will Wright, of course, Jayden Dan still coming back in. Hopefully Stefan Bajcetic can get back fit, Trey Neone, Rio and Gamoa. I mean, there is talent there for the future. On inconsistency, the manager said this, we haven't been as consistent as we wanted to be, but if you look at the last 2 months, I think there are more positives in terms of results than negatives. So all of that led me into seeing a couple of things that in an Echo article that really stood out to me. And one of them is from Michael Edwards. Michael Edwards said, results are noisy is a term that Fenway Sports Group CEO Football used to explain how more studious football observer can see patterns and trends emerging in data beyond screeching headlines and scoreboards. Now, I'm sure that there is some sense to that, but ultimately results are what matter. And showing us what could have happened in the data means nothing. Like, I do understand that they're going to look at this and they're going to see, was he unlucky? And maybe they feel he was unlucky. But I can tell you that the football fans, we don't give a fuck about the data. We care about results. And if we were unlucky and we lost, we still lost. And we are still 6th in the league. So all of the unlucky stuff is fair enough, but it doesn't really justify the style of football that we're seeing, which is nowhere near entertaining enough. There was a good piece, though, in the Echo that I wanted to highlight because there was a part of it that I think is spot on. And I wanted to read it out to you and see what you think. So it said, on Tuesday's 1-0 loss to Galatasaray, Arne Slot said, I don't think it's possible so many things can go against us as they have the last 2 games against Galatasaray. The point being that it was simple misfortune to have major decisions go against them in the 2 games at Rams Park this season. A penalty award that was overturned in September and a goal that was disallowed in March. Now, I'm not reading that out to say I agree with it. What I agree with is the next part of what was written in the Echo article. And this I do believe in, excuse me. Such bleatings appear to have infiltrated the thinking of the playing squad itself, with Ryan Gravenberch revealing this week, sometimes we have the feeling also on the pitch that luck is not with us. And the next paragraph of this article is what sums it all up. Once players start believing in their own hard luck stories, however, navigating toward the required results surely becomes much harder. Confidence levels may be low, but the woe is us rarely cuts it to a fan base as demanding as Liverpool's. And they're not wrong, because this woe is us crap needs to stop. This unlucky crap needs to stop. You make your own luck in football, you make your own luck in life, you make your own luck in sport. And that is just that. Players buying into this, oh, we're so unlucky crap. Don't like it. Don't like the mentality of it one bit. And if that is seeping into the dressing room, we have a problem. And this is outside of whether you think Arne is good enough or not. If that attitude, that defeatist mentality of, well, we've just been unlucky. No, you haven't been good enough. And that is the truth. And Liverpool fans are demanding, particularly when we've seen our club win the league last year and then come back in and be nowhere near it this year. Sorry, I'm just going to get rid of this fucking idiot out of the chat who's just doing my head in with stupid post after stupid post about Arne Slot. Just fuck off, mate, honestly. Go somewhere and grow up, you absolute twat. Sasha said, don't see Gordon as a future Liverpool player. Well, he wants the move. The club like him. And it nearly happened before. So I really think there could be something to this one. This here from Football Insider said, Anthony Gordon is unhappy at Newcastle United and could look to leave this summer. The player has big ambitions. He is and always has been interested in a switch to Liverpool, but may also receive an offer from Arsenal as they could look to upgrade on Gabriel Martinelli. He's very highly rated at many clubs in the Premier League. Now, I'm sure he is highly rated, but surely he wouldn't go to Arsenal. For this reason, they wouldn't give him the freedom to play the brand of football and the style of football that he likes. And he would be probably playing left wing back or something like that within a couple of months. So it'll come down to whether Liverpool think it's worth coming knocking on Newcastle's door again. But the player definitely wants to move. We've been linked with him in the past. It nearly happened when he was at the Euros with England. In fact, it went so far that he actually thought it was going to happen, and he was asking around life at Anfield, stuff like that, to some of the other Liverpool-based players in the England squad. Is the price for Gordon still quoted at 100 million though? Would rather sell Yan Diamonde. So this is an interesting question that you've asked, mate, because I've seen so many varying things. It seems to be when Liverpool's name is attached to an article around Anthony Gordon, you're right, the price is 120 million pound. I seen a piece a couple of weeks ago, and I brought it to you guys on the channel, that Arsenal were linked with them, and the price there they were talking about was 70 or 75 million, which is a whole 50 million quid cheaper than the most expensive number being linked with Liverpool. So, yeah, I don't know the price, in all honesty, nor do I know what the situation is there at Newcastle with regards to their willingness to sell. But what I don't want as a Liverpool fan is another summer of drama with Newcastle. If there's a deal to be done there and they want to bring in Gordon, I'm absolutely fine with that because I think he's a very good player. But yeah, let's not get into a situation like Isak where we pay over the odds. Because we did pay over the odds for Isak. Whatever way we look at it, we did. If it pans out and it works as they wanted to in years to come, it'll be money well spent. But we did pay over the odds. So, Craig, have you ever watched the show The Sopranos, and what do you think of it? It's absolutely incredible. I love James Gandolfini, may he rest in peace. Love that show. Yeah, watched it back to front, inside out, left to right, mate. Love it. Love it, love it, love it. It's in my top 3 TV shows of all time. Absolutely incredible. LFC Pranav, how are you, dude? Look at that. 57 months, bro. 57 months. Love that. Thank you. If we don't beat Spurs and get past Galatasaray midweek, Slot should be sacked on the spot. But we will. but we will. And that's the thing. I wanted to come in tonight to talk about this. I think we have an exciting, good week ahead of us. I really do. I don't know what the future holds. I don't know what the remainder of the season holds. But over the next week, I really do think that we're going to enjoy some of the football we see, because we've got a Spurs team that are walking wounded. And I've done my team selection. That's coming out tomorrow morning in the preview. But I try to justify why I've included Mohamed Salah. Now, that's the only insight I'm going to give you into my predicted 11, but I have put Mohamed Salah in there. And the reason why I put Mohamed Salah in there is because I think this could be a great confidence builder. And with Spurs, the walking wounded that they are, with so many changes, with them in free fall, I think this is a game where Mo could build up a bit of confidence, grab himself a goal and an assist or something like that, and hopefully then carry that in to the game on Wednesday against Galatasaray, which again is a game that I'm feeling quite optimistic about. Even when we lost the reverse fixture, that was a pain in the backside, but I said after, I still think we go through, and I do. Now look, we've got much bigger fish to fry if we do get through. Much more difficult game coming up against Paris Saint-Germain or Chelsea, and we'll talk about that as and when. But honestly, for the next two games, I think we're going to be all right. I really do, and I hope that this builds some confidence in the lads and that we can carry that on, because we've got Manchester City, the first game back after the international break. That's been confirmed as a 12:45 p.m. kickoff on, what date was it again? Was it the 1st? One sec. So the last 8 tie at the Etihad will be played Saturday, April the 4th at 12:45 UK time in the afternoon, and it will be shown on TNT Sport in the UK. So early kickoff for that one, straight back after the international break. One sec, folks. Sorry, I just have to type something in. Right, Petter said Craig 4-0 on Sunday. Do you know what, Petter? I think, yeah, 4-0 sounds about realistic. I do think we'll put that to the test at the weekend. But yeah, I think we'll get a good result against them. I really do. And I hope we can carry in some confidence then into the game coming up against Galatasaray on Wednesday. See, Galatasaray's president has offered them a €5 million bonus if they manage to knock Liverpool out. So they're going to be coming with big ambitions, but without any fans. Don't forget that. Galatasaray won't have any fans inside Anfield, officially anyway, for the game, and those tickets are going on sale tomorrow. Liverpool are putting the allocation that Galatasaray would have had on public sale tomorrow. So, if you're looking to go to the game, keep an eye out. Pranav, how are you, dude? Said, I just don't trust this team and the manager anymore. So, I get it, and I feel similarly, but there's going to be enough, and there has been enough negativity when things go wrong. And it has gone wrong a lot this season. So what I wanted to aim for tonight was to come in and try to put a positive look on the next week and what may happen. Because I do think we're going to have more frustrating nights this season. And I do think we're going to have more angry nights this season. But the next couple of days, we got to just try to enjoy it, because that's what football should be about for us. And we have a chance to book our place in the quarterfinals of the Champions League. We have a chance to hopefully start reining in the teams ahead of us in the Premier League. And, Spurs at home, the way they're in, it should be a confidence builder. But I do understand it. It's impossible to know which version of us is going to show up when we play. But, got to be hopeful. One of the best crowds ever on Wednesday, I bet. I think it's going to be brilliant. I think it's going to be absolutely loud. I think it's going to be a good night. I'm actually really excited, looking forward to Wednesday. I hope we start quickly. I hope we can get that goal back in the first 20-25 minutes and then take it from there. What do you think of the new retro collection, Craig? You ordered anything yet, mate? Of course I have. I ordered the blackout shirt. I ordered the green and white shirt. I ordered the sweatshirt and the t-shirt. The blackout shirt was a bit scaldy. It was a bit expensive, I'll be honest, like to pay €162 for that. But it does come in a presentation box, I guess. But I'll be wearing it, so it doesn't matter. I'll tell you what I did do though. So I wear double XL at the minute, and I'm in between XL and double XL. But I'm determined. I'm going on the weight loss after the holiday, so I ordered them in extra large, a few of them to make sure I can fit into them to give myself something to aim for. But yeah, really like it. That's my peak era of Liverpool. That 1996 collection is, I think, the best away shirt Liverpool have ever had. Love it to bits, and so excited to be getting it back. So excited to see the club released it with the Carlsberg and all on it. Yeah, class. Hope the refs don't mess up the return game, though. We should be able to take it out of the referee's hands. Look, if there's something that you don't, maybe you don't know, maybe you do know, but Galatasaray don't travel well. They're very, very difficult to beat at home, but they don't travel away from home well in Europe. And I watched the game against Juventus where they went into it with a 5-2 lead. Juventus had a man sent off, and they still managed to get it back to 5-5 and go into extra time, which of course Galatasaray grabbed a couple of goals in extra time and won the game. But yeah, I think we beat them. I do. I think we beat them. I think we beat them relatively comfortably. I am expecting reactions from the lads over the next two games, but I've been expecting that quite a bit this season. But I can only tell you I'm feeling optimistic for the next two games. Craig, can McAllister have a good game for once? Well, he's not in my predicted 11 for the game at the weekend. I didn't put him in my 11. I think he should be. I think he should be on the bench for this one. Again, I don't want to give away too much of my predicted 11 because the video comes out in the morning. But yeah, he's not on my team. The referee for Sunday, Leon, is Chris Kavanagh, mate. Chris Kavanagh is the referee. John Brooks on VAR, though. But yeah, Chris Kavanagh is the ref. Let me just check. I have the image here so I can tell you exactly who it is. Bear with me. Right, so referee for the game's Chris Kavanagh. Assistant referees Dan Cook, James Mainwaring. Fourth official Thomas Kirk. VAR John Brooks. Assistant VAR Dan Robathane. So they are they're your referees for the game. Or your officials, I should say. Right. Team Talk have said, and I wanted to get your take on this. Let's get this poll up to 1,000 and then we'll ask on the Florian Wirtz thing. Do you know what? I've seen somebody ask about the Anthony Gordon stuff and I understand people are coming in late, so let me run through it for you. Football Insider have said that Anthony Gordon is unhappy at Newcastle and could look to leave the club this summer. The player has big ambitions, they say, and he's always been interested in a switch to Liverpool, but he may also receive an offer from Arsenal, they say, as they could look to upgrade Gabriel Martinelli. They said he's very highly rated at many clubs in the Premier League. Now, I've said this to you guys when we were talking about Isak in the summer. From the outside, and of course, we are on the outside here, Newcastle looks like a project that isn't going to plan. It looks like a project that isn't moving as quickly as their owners would like or hasn't been as successful as they would like. They did win that trophy last year, absolutely, but it looks like this season they're going to struggle to get European football for the next campaign, and that's going to have a dent, obviously, and some of the players are going to want to go. Tonali, most likely going to be linked to a lot of moves in the summer. Bruno Guimaraes, don't know what happens there. Anthony Gordon, so it could be another tough summer for Newcastle fans. Let that show off Gordon go back to the blue shite. Well, you do know he's a Liverpool fan, and Liverpool released Gordon when he was a teenager. Um, that means that holds a lot of water with me, that he wants to play for the club. I really, really think he would give everything in a Liverpool shirt. Um, just my take on it. I know that this divides opinion between Liverpool fans, but I've always been somebody who thinks Gordon has the potential to be a really, 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 really good player. Right, so we've just gone over the 1,000 votes, and 61% of people from the 1,000 that voted said they would take Anthony Gordon. 39% said they would not. Now, I wanted to get your take on another subject. One sec. Might write this out. So I want to ask you, can Florian Wirtz win a Ballon d'Or in your eyes? Because this piece here from Team Talk said, well-placed club figures at Liverpool see Florian Wirtz as not only a key squad player, but a potential future world beater capable of reaching the pinnacle of the sport by challenging for the Ballon d'Or while at Anfield. I said this when we signed him. That's how highly I rate him. I do think he's got a potential Ballon d'Or in him. And I wanted to be at Liverpool, obviously, but I do think he has the potential to win a Ballon d'Or. Obviously, we need to achieve more. We need to win more. We need to make sure that we're delivering trophies. But I think with the right season, it's possible. I'm not saying this year, by the way. I'm not saying he's going to win a Ballon d'Or this year. No, I'm not. I'm talking about during his career. John said, hey Craig and Connor, yet another dent in the card for me today. Lol. A question to you. How do they control the sale of tickets for the Galatasaray game? Thanks as always. So, best thing to do is go on the club's official site and have a look at what the criteria is for them. They're releasing extra tickets tomorrow. I don't know if they're going on general sale tomorrow or if they're going on sale to members with specific amount of games or whatever. I'm not sure, but it was posted earlier on that there is tickets going on sale tomorrow. Some of them some of them there are ballots you can go into, but some of them you also have to have X amount of games each year to be able to buy them. Then there's the Auto Cup scheme, so there's different things that give you different abilities to do it. And then of course you've got the hospitality, which anybody can buy if they're available and you've got the money in your pocket. But yeah, there are definitely extra tickets going on sale, so do have a look at it. And John said, and yes, I'm pro Gordon. So am I, but like I said, I do understand it's a divisive one with Liverpool fans. And thank you for being with us for 16 months, my man. Appreciate you. Oh, Joe, I'm really sorry. I'm really sorry, Joe. Joe's the gentleman that you all kindly helped us to get into that new wheelchair basketball chair. I'm really sorry, Joe, to hear about your dad. Our thoughts are with you, bro, as always, and you know where we are if you need us, my man. But really sorry, and yeah, certainly hoping for some wins myself, mate. It's been a really, really difficult season, but you know, there's still hopefully some bright spots left. I finally I finally got my YouTube Silver Play button framed after 5 years of sitting in a drawer. It's now finally framed and ready to go up in the studio. Right, loads of news to get through. Let's go with the World Cup. Let's have a look at the World Cup because those new rule changes have now officially been brought into effect and brought into law. You will see them available at the 2026 World Cup. So these are some of the new rule changes that you can have a look out for during the World Cup this summer. Substituted players will now have 10 seconds to leave the pitch. If they take longer, the incoming player will have to wait 1 minute before he's able to come on. Throw-ins must be taken within 5 seconds. Otherwise, the ball will be given to the opposing team. Players who receive medical treatment will have to leave the pitch and wait 1 minute before returning. VAR will now be able to intervene on second yellow cards and on corners if there is a clear refereeing error. On this 5 seconds for a throw-in thing, I think that could be a little bit too short at some times. Because sometimes you do need a few seconds to take a throw-in. And 5, I mean, it sounds like a lot of time when we're just saying, yeah, you have 5 seconds to take a throw in, but it depends when you get your hands on the ball. When do they start to count? If your own players aren't in position, you're not going to just throw the ball into an area where you're giving it away. So it'll be interesting to see how they referee that one and how it's implemented in the World Cup. One thing I will say for FIFA is usually when we go to tournaments that FIFA are in charge of, I find that VAR and other things work better. And the officials are at least consistent in the way that they go about their decision making. So I will give FIFA their credit on that. I don't have much positive to say about FIFA, but at the tournaments, I have liked the way VAR has worked compared to the Premier League. So many lovely comments as well in the chat to Joe, and again speaks to the class of you guys, and that's why I love you all so much. Yeah, and again, Joe, as you can see, you're well thought of, my mate, and we're all here with you, thinking of you and sending you love. Nick, how are you, bro? Hard to debate a Gordon deal without a solid transfer value to work with. He can go anywhere from 45 to 70. He's going to be way upwards of your 45, so they paid more than that from when they bought him in, and they're going to want a profit on the player. So honestly, I think the minimum you're looking at is the 75. And I'd say probably, if I was to put a number on it, my guesstimation would be 90. That would be, because you have the homegrown aspect to it. You've got the fact that Newcastle played a pretty hefty sum from when they signed him from Everton. So I do think, yeah, you're looking at upwards of 75 million, and my guess will be about 90. But I don't want to throw a solid number out there because the article doesn't have a solid number in it. So I didn't want to just, throw out a number. Gordon has 6 non-penalty goals this season. Cody has 8. Right? One of them plays for Newcastle and one of them plays for Liverpool, Kane. You can't just compare goals and not give context to the different clubs. Liverpool expect to win more games than Newcastle, so I would expect that we'd have, higher goal scorers than Newcastle. But look, as I said, I know it's a divisive subject. I'm not the one trying to shove Anthony Gordon down your throats, but it is a subject that is still hanging around and isn't going away. And we know the club were close to it before. Craig, dream birthday on 27th of May, hopefully Champions League final. Well, I'll tell you what, if we're in a Champions League final, yeah, a lot will be forgiven for the season, but I don't know, I struggle to think that far ahead, to be honest with you, because to get there, we'd have to get through, obviously, Gala, then we'd probably have to get through PSG, then it'll be most likely Real Madrid or Bayern Munich. There's a lot of football still to be played there before we can start dreaming about Budapest. Craig, do you think getting Gordon will help get the best out of Isak? They mesh well together. I don't want to block Rio either. It's a tough one because, again, there's not enough context to this article to really let me know what the thought process is. Because as we sit here right now, without anyone leaving, I would say we all believe we need at least one more wide forward. And then I seen a really good comment in the chat from somebody before I went live, and it was something along the lines of, basically, we need more players in than leaving this summer. And I fully agree with that. So for me, let's say we bring in Yan Diamonde as an example. Then let's see what happens with Salah or Gakpo. If one of those two departs the club, then I think Anthony Gordon becomes more feasible. But we're going to have to wait and see. And also, I don't want another protracted saga where Liverpool get it in their heads that they want Gordon and only Gordon, and it drags out all summer. And then we have to hear about pre-seasons missed and not enough time settling into the team. Whatever it is, I want their transfer business done as early as we can get it done. Because I want the manager, whoever the manager may be, to have every single minute possible on the training ground to prepare for the new season. I feel like Jerome. Thank you, sir. I love the work you do, Craig. If you could swap the football IQ of 2 players, which 2 would you switch? Darwin with Robbie Fowler. But then, Robbie's not playing now, so I'll try and give you somebody more frequent. Darwin with Harry Kane. Yeah. If you could give me Harry Kane's footballing IQ with Darwin's natural talent, ability, and physicality, can you imagine the player you'd have? And that was the most frustrating thing for us about Darwin is you can see the natural ability, you can see the physicality, you can see the pace, you can see everything was there, but without that footballing IQ. So, yeah, that's what I would say. Give me Darwin Núñez with Harry Kane's footballing IQ, and you'd have one hell of a player. Sheepish Productions said, I love your videos. Can I have a shout out? Yes. You can, of course, you can have a shout out. Is Darwin Núñez the best player in the world? No, he's not. Not by a long way. Not even the best player at Al Hilal. Pro, you'll never walk alone. So, Craig, what would you choose? Win the Champions League, but Slot stays, or we get Champions League football next season and we don't win any trophy for Slot to get sacked? Always, always, always want Liverpool to win trophies. So, Champions League. That's look. I don't rate the manager. That's clear. But my foremost desire is for Liverpool to win trophies. So if I had to shut up and bite my lip for another year, if Liverpool win the Champions League and Arne stayed, no problem. Bring on that Champions League. I want to see the parade in the city. I want to see the city bouncing with happiness, like we did, when we won in Istanbul, like we did when Jurgen won. So exactly that. I want that again. I want to relive those memories. I want to, enjoy it. And you know what? If, and it's a big if, some way we manage to do it, can you imagine the ecstasy we'd be feeling? Because it would be so out of the blue. Like we didn't expect the title win last year, and that was a big part of what made it so special and so amazing to me. It came out of nowhere. Didn't expect it. Bang, won the title. Not expecting us to win the Champions League this year, but my God, if we did, oh lads, it would be it'd be beautiful. But yeah, always, always, always want the Reds to win. Nemesis said, love streams, Craig, even better. Irish respect all, do 1 million subs by the end of this year. I don't know, man. I don't know. Definitely not by the end of this year. Sorry, that's not happening. But I don't know what happens. I've debated this in my own head numerous times. Do I think we could ever get 1 million subscribers? I honestly don't know. And that's not being, a cop-out of an answer. I feel comfortable with probably push towards 500,000. But, I try to think of it like this. I got that silver play button 4 or 5 years ago. And here we are then 4 or 5 years down the line and we're edging towards 400,000. So I have to hit 100,000 6 more times to get to the million. So it's a huge accomplishment to get there without cheating. And, that's why I've got always given credit to AFTV in the United Stand. They did it, and they did it legitimately. They did it by building up their following, and I might not agree with a lot of what they do, but I'll always give them respect for what they accomplished. But it eats away at me that a Liverpool channel doesn't have one. It really does annoy me that there isn't a Liverpool channel up there in the plus 1 million mark, apart from the club's official one, of course. I don't know, look, it's a very arrogant thing to sit here and go, yeah, I think we'll get 1 million subscribers, but I think we do as good a job as anyone else. That's the best I can say. And if we don't get 1 million, it won't be from a lack of effort or a lack of dedication to try to do it. Sometimes, you need a little bit of luck to go your way. A few viral moments, a little burst here or there of subscribers. But I've already overachieved anything I ever dreamt we would do with the channel when we started it. So for me and Connor, well, I can't speak for Connor, but I can speak for me. Everything is a bonus at this point. It feels like we're playing with house money because our goal was 5,000, maybe 10,000 when we started it. And here we are now, like heading towards the 400,000 mark. I said to my wife today, it's the thing I'm most proud of that I've achieved as an adult outside of my family, without a doubt. Even looking at the silver play button today and picking it up from the framers, it's special. It means something to me. This channel hasn't got an award from anyone. We haven't won any awards for the Football Content Awards or anything like that, but you can't deny the YouTube stuff. You do the numbers, YouTube give you the plaque. Nobody can deny it. Because it's easy to get a chip on your shoulder doing this and feel you're being hard done by, and sometimes I have, but I'm incredibly proud of it. And do you know what I love is when I get to meet anyone and we talk about the channel, they say community. All of them. It's the community. The community's brilliant. I love dropping in. I love chatting with people. People tend to care for each other in there. And that is so satisfying. Craig, what best YouTube you got most respect for? It depends what you mean by the word respect. So I don't like Mark Goldbridge as a person, and we fell out, and we exchanged a message a month or two ago. I touched base, but I've always said the same. His work rate's phenomenal, and what he's done to build that channel up, along with Drawdy and everybody else that was there, it's incredible. It's a powerhouse, and it showed what's possible in our industry. And what I don't think people talk about enough with us is we've done this being outside the country. Like, we've built Anfield Agenda to be the most watched Liverpool fan channel from Ireland. And that means so, so much to us. You know, when they put out the list of all the views and stuff like that, and you see all the national flags going down, it's English, 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 bang, Anfield Agenda, Ireland. It makes us feel very proud. Stephen said, people might not rate Gordon, but at least I do. At least he'll give his all every time. Yeah, look, it would have to be for the right money. I have to say that. Like, I don't want us paying silly money just because they have it in their head that Anthony Gordon's the guy that they want. It would have to make sense. Because we know Yan Diamonde, the asking price is going to be somewhere about 80, 85 million pound. And I think Liverpool will look to get it lower than that. But with Gordon, you know, it's another big pot of money. So, you know, would Liverpool be better served to spread that money out? We don't want to get into a situation like last year where, yes, we've brought in brilliant players, but we weren't able to build out the squad enough because, well, a lot of the funds were tied up in big money deals. I noticed that Gordon plays too roughly against us. Probably just overexcited. You know, he's probably just overly keen to impress because he is a Red. He's a Liverpool fan, and you know, as I said, he really wanted that move. Let's talk about Dom for a minute, because Dominic Soboslai has picked up Liverpool's Standard Chartered Player of the Month award for the 4th time this season. Just speaks to how good of a season Dom has had, and let's hope that he can continue it because we're going to need him. We could get Kvaratskhelia for a similar price to Gordon. And if we could pay Salah, we can pay the wages. But he doesn't want to move. That's the most important part of all of that you're missing out. Kavisha Kvaratskhelia had the opportunity to come to Liverpool, but he wanted to go to Paris Saint-Germain because they did the groundwork for years. And to the best of my understanding, he's happy there. But yeah, so I don't think we're going to be in the mix for Kvaratskhelia. I think if you're looking at Paris Saint-Germain, Barcola is the name that was doing the rounds with regard to Liverpool having a lot of respect for him and a lot of admiration, and they would look to do business there if it was possible. Craig, do you rate Mr. Beast? Absolutely. How could you not? He is a phenomenon, and I remember Connor introduced me to his work maybe 5 years ago, and I've kind of seen him just continue to go on and strength to strength, and of course, absolutely. And again, so many great causes and so many great charitable things that he does. Just, yeah, it seems like a really, really good example to young people and a really good role model. Don't know him personally, of course, haven't had the pleasure, but, you know, Jimmy's done really well. Would you rather Gordon or Barcola? Oh, that's a good question. Oh, jeez, I don't know. I'm leaning towards Barcola because of my perception of Gordon's injury record. Now, it is a perception. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I do remember him having some spells out, and robustness is important, especially if you're going to be bringing in somebody to be the guy and pay them a lot of money. So I'm tempted to lean towards Barcola, but honestly, it's really close, and I could probably talk myself into going either way in that conversation. You can't tolerate a toffee in your team. Does somebody want to break the news to him about some of the players that played for Liverpool that have been Everton fans? And what do you mean by a toffee? Do you not know he was at Liverpool first and we released him? You know, if you're going to hate on a player, at least do the research to know their background. He was at Liverpool as a teenager, was released, went to Everton, broke through, but is a Liverpool fan. So, do you know what? My perception on Gordon's actually wrong. Keane sent me the injury history here. He hasn't missed much at all, to be fair. 22, 23, he missed 7 days. 22, 23, 23 days. 23, 24, 13 days. Game-wise, though, he's missed, 6, 7, 8, 9, 13, 15 for England and club. That's not a whole lot over his career. So, yeah, actually my perception there seems to be pretty incorrect. And then Barcola looks pretty good, to be fair. He doesn't have too many injuries either. John Jones, Craig, you know I don't comment much, but you are in my quality, not quantity of friends. You help us all with more than just football. It's a two-way street. I've always said it, Mr. John Jones. You guys help me so much without maybe even knowing it. There's been times I've come on here where I've been in bed and I haven't been able to get up and I've been in a bad place and I come on here and I'm laughing within a few minutes, or you guys have said something nice that's made me feel better. And yeah, it's definitely a two-way street, but it's important. I'm glad, I'm so proud that we can have these sincere conversations about our lives, mental health, financial stuff, things like that, anything. That's what we're here for. I've always looked at it like this on the channel. The watch-alongs are where the money is. It is. The watch-alongs are where we make probably 85% of our revenue. But the nightly streams are for the community, because between the 8-minute videos and the watch-alongs, we could leave it at that, and financially we'd still be doing okay. But the nightly streams have always been for me about saying thank you to the people that support us, and trying to get to know you and trying to be accessible and making sure that, if there's something you're wanting to get off your chest or say, that, you can at least type it out. I'm not saying I necessarily always see it, but that's what it's always been for me. Everybody keeps telling me, no, Craig, 40 minutes, that's the length. I remember having this debate with Drawdy. He said, no more than an hour, Craig, that's it. Late night agendas, no more than an hour, that's where the sweet spot is. And he started showing me data to back it up, and I just said, I don't care. With all due respect, I don't care, because this is about a need for me and for other people to have a chat. Because I remember COVID, when there was maybe 200 of us in the chat, no football to talk about, but you got me through COVID, you got me through that lockdown where we were all a bag of nerves about what was happening. So yeah, it means so much more to me than you could put a subscriber number on or a financial number on. Eddie said, I was watching you in 2017 while my wife died, and you've been there ever since. Thank you for everything you do for us. Firstly, Eddie, again, incredibly sorry about the passing of your wife. Can't imagine what that must have been like. But yeah, it's the thing I'm most proud of, Eddie. I will always be the most accessible person in this space. I'm always easy to contact. I don't court fame. If I did, I'd be on social media and I'd be promoting myself all the time, and I'd be, doing clippy things to make people I don't care. I've no desire to be famous or wealthy. It doesn't bother me. But I am competitive. So that's what drives me on with the channel, is I'm really competitive as a human being, and I want to beat Redmen. Not because I've any dislike of them. They've done a brilliant job, but they've got the most subscribers. We've got the most views. I want there to be no debate in this conversation. I want people to say, what is the biggest Liverpool channel? It's Anfield Agenda, end of debate. That's my goal, and that's what I hope to do. Right, I have a lot more to go through. Let's talk about Mo for a second. Opta put up a post around Mohamed Salah. I don't know if you had a chance to see it. So this isn't me, again, looking for an angle or anything. This is a genuine post today from Opta analyst that said, Mohamed Salah is averaging his fewest non-penalty shots per 90 minutes for Liverpool this season, and is also converting his lowest percentage of them. That is, sometimes our perception might not match reality, right? When you look at the numbers. But this season, I can't tell you why Mo has fallen off. I mean, we've debated it, we've tried to talk about it, we've all given our share of an opinion on it, but we don't know. And we don't know if it is quantifiable. But what we do know is the numbers are showing that this is a poor season for him. So in 2017-18, he was 22.1% of shots were non-penalty shots. 11.9, 10.7, 15.7, 13.7, 17.3, 13.3. This season, 10%, which is low for Mo. It's his lowest yet. Again, his fewest non-penalty shots per 90 minutes for Liverpool this season, and is converting his lowest percentage of them. So he's only putting away 10% of his shots this year. Think about that. 1 in every 10 times Mo takes a shot. Whereas in other seasons, he got up as high as 22% in his first season. Even last year, though, which was, of course, an incredible year for Mo with regards to firing us to the Premier League title, he had about just shy of 15% conversion rate. So he's down nearly 5% from last season. And of course, the amount of shots per 90 minutes is also dropping down. He's now down at 2.7 shots per 90 minutes, whereas his peak number there came in 2019-20, where he had 4.3 shots per 90 minutes. Redman's on 575k. How long would it take to overtake them if both channels keep growing at the current rates? I don't know, is the honest answer. I have a goal in my mind of when I'd like to overtake them by, and that's the end of 2028. No, what year are we in? 2027. Yeah, that's the end of next year is my goal to try and pass them. So they've kind of hovered in and around the 550-ish mark for quite a while, 530 to 550 for quite a while. So yeah, the aim is maybe to try and reel them in by the end of 2027. If I'm still here. And what I mean by that is if you guys still want me here. That's what I mean. I don't mean like I'm threatening to go away or anything. Paulie, how are you? Said, hey Craig, hope all is well. It is not too bad, thank you, sir. In your opinion, what's the chances of us signing Elise in the summer? I know Bayern intend on offering him a new contract, but he would be quite the signing. Yeah, it's I think it's going to be hard work, Paul, to get him out of Bayern this summer for a few reasons. One, it's a World Cup summer, so he's going to be away with France. Then he's going to have a prolonged break. Bayern are in a good place. Vincent Kompany has them purring at the minute and playing some really good football. They absolutely trounced Atalanta 6-1. It was 6-0 until a goal very, very late. So I think it's going to be a difficult one to prize him away. I'd love him though. I really would. I'd love to bring in Yan Diamonde and then have Michael Elise on the opposite side. It would be brilliant with Rio Engamo there as well. And he's my number one choice to replace Mo. Always has been, always will be, but I just don't know how realistic it is. Jonathan said, looking at stats this year, players have played in their preferred position 65% of the time compared to 88% last season. Compared to City and Arsenal, they're at 85%. That's quite low, isn't it, Jonathan? I mean, it probably speaks to a lack of depth in some areas of the pitch. And then, of course, the injuries that we've picked up this season have been frustrating as well. But, yeah, I don't know. Look, this piece in The Echo, I want to just read this back out again for people who are a little bit late because there's two parts of it that stand out to me. And the first thing I wanted to get your opinion on was something that Michael Edwards has said in the past, which is results are noisy. They go on to say that is a term that Michael Edwards uses to explain how more studious football observer can see patterns and trends emerging in data beyond screeching headlines and scoreboards. I do understand where they're coming from or where he's coming from with results are noisy, but results are what's important. It's the winning business. It's football. And yes, I know that they're trying to say that they look into numbers to see if we have been unlucky. So one thing they spoke about in the piece was, I think it was Dr. Ian Graham, sat down before Liverpool appointed Jurgen Klopp with FSG to show why they thought that he'd been unlucky in his last season with Dortmund when they finished 7th in the league, that they actually statistically probably should have finished a bit higher. So that helped convince them that, okay, he is still the guy. So I don't know if they're looking at similar things behind the scenes to try to justify Arne Slot getting another season or not. But the part that really interested me about this was the comparison from the manager saying we're being unlucky to that then seeping into the players. So on Tuesday, after we lost to Galatasaray, Arne Slot said, I don't think it's possible so many things can go against us as they have in the last 2 games. The point being that it was simple misfortune to have major decisions going against us in the 2 games against Galatasaray this season. But the next couple of paragraphs I do think are very interesting, and the Echo lads got it on the money. They said, such bleedings appear to have infiltrated the thinking in the playing squad, with Ryan Gravenberch revealing this week, sometimes we have the feeling also on the pitch that luck is not with us. They go on to say, once players start believing in their own hard luck stories, however, navigating toward the required results surely becomes much harder. Confidence levels may be low, but the woe is us rarely cuts it to a fan base as demanding as Liverpool's. I don't think they needed to put in the to a fan base as demanding as Liverpool's, because it's not that we're overly demanding. It's that we know what they're capable of. So we want to see the players performing to the best of their abilities, and we know that we have a better group of players than results have shown us this season. But yeah, I hope that mentality of woe is us isn't seeping into the dressing room, because that would be really concerning. You know, again, we're talking about mentality monsters, the term that Jurgen's team was rightly given, and it fitted. You know, where is that gone? Where is that mental strength gone? You know, at the start of the season, I thought, oh, you know, we've won 5 games in a row, maybe 6. Haven't played well, but that takes mental strength to be able to do it late on like that. But something seems to have clicked and changed then. And I don't think I'm on my own in saying there's been times this season I've looked at the players out there on the pitch and felt like they were feeling a little bit sorry for themselves. And again, it's so unusual to say that, because this group, in the main, have given us so many incredible nights and stood up to be counted. So I don't know what is going on this season, but something just doesn't feel right. Kaz, how are you, my friend? Said, watch you every single day, Craig. Love the community you've built. You've truly got me through some low times over the past year. I so appreciate you being a constant. I needed it. It blows my mind, Kaz, to think of yourself, you know, doing the school run, maybe over in Australia, watching us when we're on at night over here, or, you know, another gent. We have a couple of people in from Australia or New Zealand who drop in as well. Blows my mind knowing that there are people right now sitting in their houses or in their cars or wherever they are at work in all different parts of the world tuning in to have a chat with us. It's beautiful. It's why I love modern technology, and why, you know, I'm sad at the way social media has gone, because social media has the potential to be so powerful in a good way, and we've seen it do so many good things. But yeah, last couple of years, the world's gotten very angry, and it's been heightened by social media, and, you know, probably overblown. Alan said, did you hear Craig that Slot said Rio would start in one of the next 3 games? What game do you think he'll start? Oh, and you'd be looking at it thinking Spurs. You know, again, a defence that's decimated. So, you know, Rio should have a bit of a field day there. And like I said, I would put Mo in the game as well to try and build him up more confidence. So, yeah, I would say definitely that one. And then maybe if you need to bring him off the bench against Galatasaray. But there was something he said, actually, Alan, in that interview that I wanted to get your take on. He spoke about not wanting to overplay Rio. And then he went on to say about, it wasn't growing pains or shin splints. It was stress fractures. Yeah, that's what it was. He started speaking about stress fractures and how Jadon Danns has had them, and how I think he said Bajcetic might have had them. So does that mean we're not playing him in case he gets stress fractures? Because surely there's a way physiologically to know whether that's likely or not based on his makeup. Like, if you look at the difference between him and Jadon Danns, as an example, is Jadon Danns much taller, would have shot up and had growth spurts, whereas Rio hasn't really had that yet. Same with Stefan Bajcetic, I would imagine. So I thought that was an interesting insight from Arne as to maybe why he's not playing Rio as much as we'd all urge him to. Craig Slot is in love with the low block. That's why he is too scared to play quick attacking football. I don't think he is, but look, let's be honest about this as well. To be fair, we don't have a whole lot of options to mix it up much up top this year. We've got Salah on the right, and then that's it. We can say Chiesa, but he hasn't pulled up any trees, and hasn't really been the success we'd hoped. On the other side, we've got Gakpo and young Rio. We've got one of our centre forwards out. So it's always been tough to really, really mix up the attack or give people breathers. But the biggest concern all season for me has been the centre backs. And I got really angry in January because what the club basically did in January was say, we're going to roll the dice that both of these centre backs can get through the rest of the season, and that they won't have an injury, because we'd no way to sort it out. If they did, we would have ended up with Gravenberch or Endo or somebody shoehorned into a centre-back role. And I don't like that. I don't like, because why take the risk? Why not give the squad every chance to win this season? Why not put in the because it's not like we're only buying because we've injuries. We need a centre-back anyway. So it really made no sense to me that position wasn't sorted out in January. Itachi, how are you, sir? I got 2 t-shirts I ordered on Tuesday, Liverpool online store. They look amazing. No brand, casual, feel positive for the next 2 games. Yeah, I have a couple of bits and bobs I got at the start of the season as well that just have the little Liverbird, like no Adidas or anything. They're just Liverpool branded ones that I really like. But today was the big day for me. The retro release today. This was my Christmas. Honestly, I think I spent about nearly €400. My wife gonna kill me when the credit card comes in, but I love it. That retro gear today. I was 15 when that came out. It was my favorite point of my life. As a kid, I loved it. Loved everything about that time. My group of friends, the music, Liverpool in that amazing Adidas gear. It just brings back so many great memories. And today was an emotional purchase of those things, definitely. I cannot wait. Did anybody else get a few bits, by the way? If you did, let me know what you treated yourself to. I was disappointed the blackout shirt was as expensive as it was. I didn't think there was a need to put it up to €162. But I still got it anyway, because it's, I've always bought the blackout shirts when they're available. Right, so we've asked you, can Wirtz win a Ballon d'Or? 72% of you guys think yes, he can. Good. Proud of you, because I think the same. Would I be happy with Gordon and Diamande this summer? It depends the departures. So just not putting words in your mouth, but let's just say Salah goes. Would I be happy with Gordon and Diamande? Yes, I would. I would, because I would consider Anthony Gordon experienced. So I would say yes. Bring in. Where I would feel worried is, let's say Salah left and we brought in 2 19-year-old wingers. I'd be concerned about that, because I do think it's important to have players with that Champions League and, international experience, as well as good up-and-coming young players. So, yeah, Gordon, Diamande in. If Salah was to go, yeah, I'd be happy with that. Mark Wilby said blackout shirt. Does that mean you got the blackout shirt, or you're asking about the blackout shirt? Yeah, I got that green and white shirt. I think I have the image here somewhere. Hang on. I think I have the image of all the stuff that came out today. Bear with me. Two secs. Here we go. Where are you? Where are you, fecker? There we go. All right. So let me just drag this down to show you. So this is what the club brought out today. And there's another T-shirt that they brought out that isn't there. One that Virgil was wearing in the promo stuff. So that's all the stuff that came out. The 1996 chessboard shirt, the blackout version of it, the tracky top, the sweatshirt, the T-shirt, another sweatshirt, pair of tracky bottoms, shorts, and then there's another green T-shirt. That's all available right now. And it even has the Carlsberg on the back of some of the stuff as well. It is exactly as it was in 1996, and that is, like I said, my favourite era of Liverpool. For away stuff, love all that stuff. The 5DBS said I got a T-shirt and an official hoodie from the Liverpool store. Was very impressed with the shipping and price. Yeah. Do you know what? Connor noticed something today, and I don't want to. Well, fuck it, I'm saying it because I think you want to make your money go as far as it can. If you're going to buy stuff, check out the difference between the Liverpool shop and the Adidas shop. Because in Ireland, and I can only speak for in Ireland, it was cheaper to get the stuff directly from Adidas than it was to get it from the club shop. Now, I still bought my stuff from the club shop because I like to try and make sure the money does go directly back into the club, or at least the merchant's cut of the sale. But yeah, it is a little bit cheaper on the Adidas website than it is on the Liverpool one for us in Ireland anyway. I love that blackout shirt. Is it cheeky of me to ask my sons to get it for me for Mother's Day? Well, it's €160. But it does come in a nice presentation box. But no, I'd say the sons would be happy to get that for you, Mammy. Mammy's always right. You know, can't do enough good things for Mammy, so absolutely. You don't ask, you don't get. And it is still available anyway at the minute in plenty of sizes. Ishmael said, I can't justify buying more. I got the green away top, the black goalie top, the black Adidas jacket, and the black and gold special top. I've no money left. Dude, I feel your pain. I warned you guys in the summer that I was going to be up shit creek this year. Yeah, I think I had to dip into the family savings for some of it because it's just been too good. I think I've bought 15 different Adidas items that Liverpool have brought out this season. I love some of them. The black and gold one that you mentioned, I didn't get the jersey, but I got the tracksuit top. Love it. Absolutely incredible. Yeah, and I got a few of the stuff today in smaller sizes so I can urge myself to lose weight after the holiday. Going to Thailand to buy some. Apparently, it's cheaper there. I've always wanted to go to Thailand. Always wanted to go. Never had the chance to do it yet, but it is definitely on our to-do list for a vacation. Craig, you're the type of person to go homeless and end up sleeping with Adidas merch. Think you're a bit addicted. I'm not addicted to it. It's just that everything I own is pretty much Adidas. So, think of it this way. There's not much in my wardrobe that isn't really sportswear or Adidas. Like I own one pair of jeans. I don't own a suit. I don't own a shirt. Don't own a pair of shoes. So everything I buy is casual wear because that's what makes me comfortable. That's what I like wearing. Do you think with Real Madrid's financial situation, we see Mo go, Rodrigo, Gordon, Diamande come in? No, there's no way Rodrigo's moving this summer. He's done his ACL and he's out until 2027, start of the year. So, yeah, there'll be no move for Rodrigo. No World Cup, unfortunately. And look, we do wish him a speedy recovery. But, yeah, that won't be happening this summer. You should get some Vivian Westwood. Yeah, you're all right. Pass. Adidas is me. That's it. Like I said, my wife has me as Adidas boy on her phone. Has done since we've known each other at 16. It's just me. I have to put my hands up and say, I do mix with my trainers. Some Adidas, but probably the most of my trainers are Air Max. Paul said, always have at least one suit at the ready. I just can't think of an occasion where I'd wear a suit. It'd have to be my daughter's wedding or even to a funeral. I'd probably just wear a black jacket and a pair of black trousers or something. Yeah. I just don't feel comfortable in even in jeans. Biggie Mal said, Craig, you have to promise us you won't go too far over with those jabs. Some people out there have gone totally overboard with it. Well, I don't know how it's going to go. I could be one of the people that are not able to keep them up because of illness or because of nausea or something. So, truth is, I don't know how it's going to go. I don't really have any expectation of how it's going to go. I do plan on becoming a bit more physically active anyway, changing some eating habits. But I've been through this journey before. I lost 103 pound when I was 30, put it back on in COVID, and think, just want to get a little bit down. I don't want to be twiggy or anything like that, but I just want to be around a little bit longer to make sure I can see my grandkids and, see my kids get married or, whatever they do with their lives. Surely the Lord of Sealand must have a suit at hand. No, I don't. Genuinely, I don't even own a shirt, Keen. Shorts from now till October. It's nearly there, bro. Nearly there. I have a rule. At the end of March, the heating goes off and it doesn't go back on until at least September. But I'm not too far behind you with the shorts. Yeah, it's I'm a proper dad on holidays. Cargo shorts and a polo t-shirt. That's pretty much me on holidays. Got a no-name replica jersey for like half from an outlet store. Or from their outlet store. Nice. Well in. Right, let's get some more football talk. So, Arne, speaking about inconsistency, said, we haven't been as consistent as we wanted to be, but if you look at the last 2 months, I think there are more positives in terms of results than negatives. I was trying to think about how to interpret that. So, yeah, we've won a few more games than we've lost, Arne. Fair enough, but you are at Liverpool Football Club. That is, expected. I don't have a poll running, but I wanted to... I'm trying to word this in my head. Okay. Don't really know how to word this, so I'm going to try explain it before I post. Over the last, particularly 2 weeks, I've started to notice more and more things come out trying to smooth over Liverpool fans a little bit and readjust our expectations or our thoughts of this season. And I wanted to ask, do you think there is an agenda by the club to lower our expectations? Because some of the narratives and the way the conversations have been going, it's like a lot of language like, we expected this to happen and stuff like that, which I don't buy. And I'm not having, because we didn't have these conversations and we weren't told to expect a lot of up and down. We were told this club was being built to dominate domestically and challenge for every competition. We were told that the summer transfer window was to make sure we didn't have a repeat of going out of the FA Cup to Plymouth Argyle or having to put out weakened teams. That's what we were told. To try to say we've been unlucky, it's just excuse making by people who haven't performed well enough. And I don't just mean the manager. I mean the manager, Hughes, Edwards, the club, the players. It's all just trying to gloss over what has been a failure of a season to this far. And I hate it. I hate that they're trying to manipulate thinking into like, oh yeah, this is acceptable. This was to be expected. The fuck? No, it wasn't. Can I get a response, Craig? Love you. Of course you can, Mr. Spoony. How are you, bro? Welcome in. Appreciate you. Have a lovely weekend. Craig, do not touch those skinny jobs with a barge pole, please. I'm trying them. Yeah, I'm trying them. It's in the fridge. I've got Wegovy. It's in the fridge. And I'll be trying it when I come home from holiday. Like I said, I don't know what to expect with it. I've gone through quite a few medical checks to make sure I'm okay. To make sure I'm, a good candidate for it. And, give it a bash. See what happens. Craig, out of 10, what score would you give Hughes and Edwards for their work so far? I can't, I simply just can't answer on Edwards because I've no idea. I've no idea what he does. I've no idea what he's doing. I've no idea what his day to day is. Hughes, yes, I feel comfortable enough talking about Hughes. I'd give him probably somewhere between a 6 and a 7 out of 10 because, yes, we didn't do enough business. But I've got to be fair when I talk about it and say they did come into a bit of a mess when they both came back to the club, or when Hughes came and Edwards came back. They did inherit a messy contract situation. They walked straight into a situation where Salah, Virgil, and Mo were in the final year of their deal. They had a lot of transfers to get done as well. And I'd say it was a pretty good window. Not built out enough of the squad as we would have liked, but let's be fair about it. You know, it was a tough situation to walk into. So yeah, I think 6 to 7 out of 10, somewhere between that for Hughes. Would like to hear more from him actually, on what's happening with that regard. I'd like to, sometimes I do feel for Arne, and that I think he's been asked questions that aren't his to answer because he's the only representative in front of the camera. So I would like to see more from Richard Hughes, and not in a cringy, silly round table bullshit throwaway puff piece like we seen. I mean, proper sitting there maybe answering some questions from fans, and I don't mean angry questions from fans. They can be, pre-sent in questions, but I'd like to actually see him answer genuine questions on, were they happy with how the summer went? Did they feel that there was some errors that they could have learned from that they can bring into the next window? Last summer we wanted to defend their title. Now Champions League qualification is massive. Yeah, that one narrative, Itachi, is the biggest frustration for me this season. That let me say this. I thought about this last night, this very subject, mate, and I came up with something that I wanted to try to express. So we're supposed to believe as fans that if Arne Slot gets Champions League football, that keeps him in. So, what if he fell 1 point short? What if we didn't get Champions League football on goal difference? Are you trying to tell me that small, tiny little detail would be the difference between a manager staying and not staying? Because it shouldn't go down to the wire like that. That decision, that thought process should already be quite clear. And, if we lose out by a point or get in by a point, is that really enough to say that was the deciding factor, one way or the other? I don't buy it, and I don't buy that that's the target. The target was to win the league. The only people who really care about Champions League football are the owners, because of the money it brings in. Of course, we fans want to be in the Champions League, but make no mistake, we want to win the Champions League, not just be in it for the money that comes with it. We want to win it. We've won it 6 times. We want to win it again. So anything below winning it in any competition we're in is a failure. It is. And he threw away the League Cup to get the 3 points against Villa. It's not like that's worked as a flaming success. We're still outside the Champions League spots currently, but I think we'll get into them. But yeah, this managing of a narrative that Champions League qualification is some type of goal, nah, fuck right off. That's nonsense. That's the bare bitch minimum to not have the club in a difficult financial position, maybe. That's about it. Paddy Wacker said, Craig, I remember sitting there with us all watching on, delighted with the signings. We were overjoyed. The wheels have fallen off the bike and the club's trying to rewrite history. Yes! Damn right. Exactly that. They're trying to rewrite the narrative now. That's not it. You can go back. If I've done this, by the way, just to make sure I wasn't imagining it. Research it. Do a bit of Google searching. Go back to the summer. Look at what was being written by the journalists. Look at what was being put out by the media. Look at what was being spoken about by fans. And then you'll see what the targets were. And none of it is the nonsense that they're coming out with now. None of it. But yeah, you're spot on. And this isn't just aimed at Arne. I want to make that clear. This season has been a failure all around. From the players to the manager to the recruitment. There is enough shit to flow downhill here. There really is. But as Carragher said the other day, ultimately the manager's the one that carries the can. Because you can't go into a dressing room and bring 10 players in and out. That's really unlikely to happen. So the thing that generally happens is the manager's the one that falls on his sword. Whether we like it or not, that's kind of the way football is. So I'm starting to get more and more worried, by the way, that they actually believe this bullshit, that they think he's the guy. Because let's even push aside all the results, and the results are important, but no one's enjoying the football, and that surely has to count for something, because yes, we can win a Champions League maybe still, and hopefully we do, but can we really say we enjoy the football we're watching, or we're buying into it? That's the most alarming part for me, because I'd rather lose games if we were going to lose them, going full pelt, 100 miles an hour, giving it everything, maybe overly attacking. I'd be far more open and amenable to losing games that way than this slow, I won't even say methodical, because I don't think it is, laborious build-up play. Angelo, how are you? Mr. Spooney's brother, how are you, sir? Craig, do you feel the club membership is worth having? Depends. If it depends what you want from the membership. If you wanted to get discounts and stuff in the club shop and a few other bits, then yes. If you wanted to get tickets, probably not. I don't have a membership to Liverpool Football Club because I don't see the point of it. I know I'm not going to get into battle to get tickets really. So if I have to buy tickets, I pay the hospitality fee or I don't go. We did have memberships up until a couple of years ago, and then I just thought, what's the point of this? I'd rather just spend the membership money on another top or something. But I don't know, what do other people think about the club membership? Do you guys think it's worth having as Liverpool fans? I feel like Jerome said, at the end of the day, the entertainment and the engagement of fans impacts the business too, so FSG should care about our style. I think so. Yeah. I remember, like, the way I tried to think about this is, and I'm showing my age here, but Roy Evans, Liverpool side, played some really good football. We're probably too open and gave away too much at the other end, but played some really good football. And that's what I want. So when I hear Arne talk about his footballing philosophies, I genuinely wish he'd implement them. Because I want to see Liverpool playing that way. I want to see us moving the ball quickly, creating overloads, pressing. I do. But all we get back is the players are fatigued, the players are tired, players are adjusting to the new league, got injuries, this, that, and the other. It's very difficult as a fan to hear a manager say that he likes to work with a smaller squad, or the club want to have a smaller squad, and then bemoan injuries and the lack of options to change things. It's, you can't have both. Either build out the squad to have some depth, and maybe you're going to struggle to keep everybody happy, fair enough, but winning usually keeps a lot of people happy. Or stick with your small squad and realise that, you're going to sometimes have injuries and you're going to have to overplay people. PDH. I never know how to pronounce that when I'm reading it out. So yeah, I don't know what your real name is, but I don't want to call you Mammy either, because I know you're a mother, you said it a moment ago, but yeah, I hate the football we're playing this season so much that I dread watching now. I listen to the watchalongs here and do something else rather than watching for the last few months. Isn't that such a sad indictment of where we're at though? And you're not on your own. There's a lot of people come into the chat who said, how are we playing? I can't bring myself to watch it. I really feel sad about that, because again, like Keane, I think it was, said earlier on, or Pasky, we've gone from the summer of excitement to feeling pretty deflated now. But like I said at the very start of this stream, I think we've got a good week ahead of us. I think there could be a couple of confidence building wins. Who do we play after Galatasaray, actually? I haven't got my notes in front of me. So we've got Spurs, Galatasaray. Who's the final game before the international break that we play? Is it Brighton? I have Brighton in my head, maybe. It is Brighton, yes. There you go. Brighton away. So yeah, again, hopefully we can go into the international break building a little bit of momentum. From potentially winning the double to maybe win nothing at all hurts so much. It's a straight downfall. Our squad isn't the problem. Some shite. If Flo is out, Mo is out, Gakpo is out, nothing changes. Yeah, I agree. Same shite, nothing changes. 12:30 kickoff as well. Ugh. I hate the early kickoffs because that means no sleep for me. Because I don't bother going to bed when we have them early kickoffs. What are your thoughts on Murillo? Oh, thank you for bringing him up. I wanted to bring up Murillo. He was in my notes here. So Pete Hall said Liverpool are monitoring Nottingham Forest centre-back Murillo. Now, Connor was all in on this one. Do you know what surprised me actually about Murillo? That he's 23. I genuinely thought he was 26, 27. So, if Murillo's available, I think yes, I'd be more than happy. I love he reminds me a little bit of Joel Matip in that he loves going for a wander with the ball. He loves breaking the line and carrying the ball out of the fence. So yeah, if Murillo is available, I think yes, no problem. Now, I don't know if he'd be available if Forest don't go down, if Marinakis would play ball on a deal, but I would take Murillo. At 23 as well. Paul said Murillo over Canade. I don't know, Paul. Yeah, I really don't know. Murillo has the age factor. Canade has the experience. It's a good question. I'll put it to the poll in a minute, mate. I'll put it to the poll. It's a good question. So let's just get this quick vote up to 500 and then we'll knock it on the head. So do you think there's an agenda to lower expectations by the club? So what I mean by that is, do you think that they're pushing this narrative of the season being as they expected or as we all expected? So we need about 70 more votes and then we'll ask on the Murillo question on Canada, because it's a really good question. See, here's the answer, Paul. My answer would be tinged with an uncertainty of what happens with Canada. So if I knew Canada wanted to stay, I wonder would I answer the question differently. Truthfully. Because the last thing I want to do is go, yeah, Canada's better, yeah, Canada's better. And then Canada go, but I don't want to be here. And then me to go, well, you've done Murillo dirty there because of your desire to want Canada to stay. So, yeah. I'm probably going to say yes. Murillo over Canada. The more I think about it, the more I think I am leaning to... Yeah. Because I love the age bracket he's in. We've got young centre-backs, 19, Jeremy Jacquet coming in as well. A 23-year-old is nice sweet spot of experience, Premier League experience, but still got a good chunk of his career ahead of him. May needs... would we need to address the centre-back? Would Murillo be left, Van Dijk move to the right? I don't know. But I think the question is more to do with quality-wise than, like for like. Like, if we had to lose Canada, would you take Murillo coming in kind of thing? Mark Davey said, I would love this team to go on a journey, just like we did with Klopp, but Slot isn't the man for that. He's very difficult to connect with. He is. And look, some people will find Arne a good fit for them and will Oh, okay, thank you. So now I know your name is Pam. Thank you. Keen sent that one on to me. Appreciate that, Pam. Thank you for letting me know. Yeah, I'd love to go on a journey with Arne, but all I can say is I don't connect with him. But I'm sure there are people that do, or people that like how he carries himself. Certainly, the club seem to really like how he carries himself. They think he's a very well balanced, logical man, and for some people that could tick a lot of boxes. I'm an emotional man, and I've always said I'm torn to people or drawn to people who are emotional and a little bit divisive. I like a contrarian. I do. I love a Ronnie O'Sullivan type character. Right, we have 16 more votes, and then we'll knock this one on the head. And I can ask you about the Murillo or Canade. 10 more to go. Ishmael Hajek said, I used to like Arne as a person. However, his shift to throw people under the bus and blame players really makes me dislike him. So on that, I've thought about that quite a bit this year. And you know that phrase, you can tell who your friends are when the chips are down or when things have gone wrong. I think you can tell a lot about the character of a person when things go wrong and how they deal with it and how they come back. And that has really pushed me away from Arne, because it's easy to take praise when things are going well. It's easy to hear that you've done a great job. It's easy to have fans singing your name. It's easy to, be top of the Premier League and stroll around feeling good about life, that, and deservedly so, I should say. But, it's easy to do that. But when times are hard, what does a manager do? Does a manager create that siege mentality like a Jose Mourinho? He hasn't done that. Now, I'm not saying that that's the only way to do this, but I would like to see my manager taking on the burden, more of the responsibility, and shielding the players more from the criticism. Even if he doesn't believe it, I'd like him to do that, because that's what a lot of good managers do when the chips are down. Take it on their shoulders, deflect away from the players, let the players build their confidence. But I don't feel he does that. I feel he feels like it's an insult to him when things aren't going well and he's been questioned on it. Like, how can you question me and my footballing ways? Right. So, question: would you take Murillo over Canade? Yes or no? And we'll check back in with that before we finish up. Would you take Gordon Diamonde if we lose Mo and Cody? Yes, but we won't lose both. And at least I'd be extremely surprised. There's a few pieces written that have suggested that it isn't on the agenda for Liverpool to lose both Gakpo and Mo in one window. And I understand that thinking, I really do. Whatever we think about Cody Gakpo this season or not, losing him and Mo would be a lot of experience gone out the door. Ben said, Klopp acted like a father, Slot acts like a co-worker. Look, when I seen a party with Wayne Lineker, I'm not going to lie, that absolutely put me off him. Can't lie. I refuse to lie. When I seen him out there partying the beat with Wayne Lineker, I just thought, fuck me, mate. Come on. Come on now. Alan said he can't handle the hustle. When we're winning everything last year, he was fine, but now it's panic stations. I've been thinking about Arne and why I can't take to him. Could he maybe be a narcissist? I'm not qualified to say whether someone's a narcissist or not. I wouldn't have a clue. Look, it's a tough one, because in one way, you're not going to walk into a job like Liverpool unless you have a real belief in your ability as a coach or a footballer. So it's a big job. So you're going to have to be fairly self-assured to walk into that job. So I've no doubts he believes in his ability as a coach, as he should. As I said, you don't walk into a club like Liverpool without having that self-confidence. But it's also a game. And you have to manage the situation. And you have to manage the perception of the group. And I don't think at times... I feel like there's been a couple of opportunities where he could have taken one on the chin and shielded the players a little bit. And he seems, at least my perception, he seems more interested in self-preservation and on brand Arne than anything else. You know, even reading articles, and again, just articles, that were saying he's considering walking away if the club don't back him with a new contract in the summer. So, yeah, like I said, I don't even think it's a Dutch thing. Others that keep saying it's a Dutch thing, it's a Dutch thing. I don't know if it is, because like there's some Dutch managers who I like the way they carry on, like Louis van Gaal. I like the way Louis van Gaal carried himself. I like the way he was outspoken. Yeah, I don't know. I just something about Arne just doesn't resonate with me. Paul Savage said, I work for a Dutch company and Arne is typical of the nationality. Lovely person, one-on-one, but work mode, it's different, defensive. Not sure. I've never really... I don't know many Dutch people, never really had many interactions with Dutch people, so I certainly wouldn't know how to categorise how they are as people, or I wouldn't try to tar them all with the same brush, but yeah, I'm an emotional dude and I like emotional people, and I like, you know, people who wear their heart in their sleeve and kick every ball out there on the pitch. Actually, do you know who has impressed me though? Sipke Hulshoff has impressed me. His assistant. I do keep an eye on him on the bench. He's very studious. Very studious. Always looking at information, taking stuff in, monitoring. Yeah, it's very interesting to watch that bench on a match day and see the movements and the information being taken on and analysed in real time and passed on to the coach. That I find fascinating. And he has impressed me. What happens if Liverpool win the Champions League? A massive fucking piss up, bro. That's what happens. A massive, massive piss up and a party like we weren't expecting. But I don't know what you mean by the question. I mean, what happens if he wins the Champions League? Obviously, if he wins the Champions League, the likelihood is he stays as Liverpool head coach, which is understandable. You know, I've said this all the way through. If he wins the Champions League, you can't fire him. I still think he should be, but it wouldn't be in the horizon. How could you do that? Like, a manager won the Premier League and won a Champions League. You know, he deserves the other season at that point. He deserves at least one more season then to see if he can put it right. Because that was the aim for me. One of the two big ones. And if he pulled out one of the two big ones and he managed to get a Champions League, you know, my own views don't matter. He's achieved something. The record books will show another European Cup. Itachi said, for me, I really like Xabi Alonso. As do I. And maybe that's kind of blinding me a little bit here as well. See, weirdly, I'm not somebody that likes change in life. I've said this to you guys a lot. So I don't have any desire for Liverpool to churn through a load of managers. I think there's a lot to be said for continuity. Continuity of playing staff and continuity of coaching. But that doesn't excuse the failures that I've seen on the pitch this season and the lack of real management in game or preparation to go into it and us look like we're well prepared and understand what the plan is. That's where I've felt most let down this year. The biggest frustration for me is so many players are playing badly at the same time and we have a manager with only one full season Premier League experience. How many things can go wrong when we add on the injuries and terrible refs? And thank you, by the way, Sandeep. That's extremely, extremely kind of you, mate. Thank you. Yeah. it's just so hard, Sandeep, mentally to go from winning the league, spending a lot of money on the squad, and going backwards. Like I said, if you look at who we lost, outside of the tragedy of Diogo, and Trent, of course, was not a preferable situation for the club. But outside of that, we didn't lose anybody that we would have said was irreplaceable. Now, we lost Diaz and they didn't replace him, but I don't think he was irreplaceable. I just think they didn't do it. So he's probably the one. We knew that Darwin was going to go. We knew that was happening. Trent made his own mind up. That was on him. Kelleher was always going to be sold when, the club weren't going to make him the number one and he wanted more game time and his contract was what it was. So, yeah. But I just get wound up, Sandeep, when I hear him talking about injuries and then we look at the stats Simon Brundish put out yesterday, which was that some of these A players in Liverpool's team are on track this year to smash the most minutes they've played in the season, including Virgil. So if you look at Virgil, he's going to play roughly, if the trajectory goes to plan, 500 minutes more than in any other season in his career. Szoboszlai, you're talking about 1,500 minutes more than any other season he's had in his career thus far. Gravenberch, a little bit more, maybe a couple of 100 minutes. Canade, he's on track to do 800 minutes more than he did in any other season yet. McAllister, slightly more. He's on track to do about, let's just say, short of 100 extra minutes. Kirkes, he's on, well, not much in that, to be fair. He's only done about an extra 3/4 of an hour. Wirtz on target to have the most minutes in his career. And if you think about that one, actually. Think about the Wirtz one because, he hasn't been playing all the time this year. But he's still on target to get the most minutes he's had in his career so far. And then Hugo Ekitike as well. He's about to beat his by about 300 minutes on the current trajectory of minutes played. That meme guy said, that just shows how small our squad is. Exactly, which is why I was banging on so much about the centre-back situation in January. Like, let's just imagine for 1 second that those extra minutes for Canade or Virgil led to an injury to one of them. Which at 34 years of age, that is a lot to be asking Virgil to be playing. Every single minute pretty much of every single game. So imagine he picked up an injury. Now where do you think the season goes? I don't think we're even challenging for Champions League spots. But they were willing to take that risk. Why? I don't understand it. Mark Gay was there. For people who are supposed to be all about the numbers and removing the emotion from the decision making, that was a cut and dry situation. We need a centre back. You admitted you needed a centre back by trying to sign one in the summer. And then he's available in January and you sit and watch when he goes to Man City and didn't bring in any centre back. Leone was out at that point, so his season was over. We knew that. Gomez is, a bit part player and a very important one, but that's it then. Up shit creek. And Gomez was doing a lot of the covering at right back because, of course, we've had injuries there as well. So it feels unfathomable to me that they didn't bring in a centre back in January. Itachi said, losing all three, Darwin, Lucho, Diogo, was too much for the squad, I guess. That's why Maka is struggling this season. Just my thoughts. Look, yes, there's been a shift in the league and it's a bit more physical. But that kind of shows up that we're a bit soft in my eyes. That midfield isn't tough enough. It's good enough. The quality's there. But it's not hard enough. There's no shithouses in there. I think we're too nice of a team. I think we could do with a couple of rough houses, a couple of shithouses in the team. I don't remember Liverpool teams being soft, but I think this team is a little bit too soft. With the new releases, what should I get? A crew neck or the tracky top? I only have the budget for one. It depends what you would wear more, Luke. I'd usually lean to a tracksuit top over a sweatshirt because you can wear it as a jacket in the summer as well. But, that's just a personal preference. Uh, Jabana said, I wasn't sold on Slot with last season's title win. It wasn't convincing. This season, first 5 wins were scrappy, but wheels have finally fallen off. Yeah, and on top of that, like last season was a celebration winning the league, but there was failures involved in it. You know, League Cup final, outfought by Newcastle. But there's one really interesting point that I was watching on back pages tonight, and they were speaking about the Premier League teams. And I give John Cross his credit on this. He made a really, really good point. So he basically said one thing he found in common with all the Premier League teams that played in Champions League this week was that they looked exhausted. It's a really good observation. Because, again, we look at the Premier League and we talk about the money that's in it. We talk about the quality that's in it and the standard of players that are in it. But they're playing too much football. They just are. And it's damaging the product and it's damaging the experience for fans. I know it's easy for us all to want 2 games a week and be selfish about it. And look, I'm as guilty of that as anybody. But you can't deny that injuries are increasing and that the quality of what we're seeing isn't as good in the Premier League as it could be. And certainly at this point of the season, you want the Premier League teams to be at their peak and at their freshest in European competition. But we're not. And it's not just Liverpool, it's across the board. Like, look at some of the results this week. Nobody's seen City getting beaten by Real Madrid to that extent. Paris Saint-Germain, at the end of that game, pulled away from Chelsea. And then I go all the way back to the Manchester City Inter Milan Champions League final, where it was probably one of the worst caliber Champions League finals I've ever seen. And it's not because there weren't 2 good teams out there. They were both 2 very good sides, but they were knackered. They were exhausted. And that's the pinnacle of European football. That's the showpiece event. And they were exhausted. They were out on their feet. Gay got sent to shops by Valverde. It was a good goal, that, though. Let's be fair. I mean, whatever about Mark Gay's part in it. Ooh, what a goal that was from Valverde. I loved... My favourite part of that goal was that he let the ball drop a little split second to get to the point he wanted. He didn't try to rush it. He didn't try to lift up his leg to force the shot. Even though keeper was coming towards him, he had the wherewithal to just take that extra split second, let the ball drop and just buried it. It was such a satisfying goal to see. As in, you know, just had all the things you tick the box off for an enjoyable, memorable goal. Right, I guess this is some of the embargoed stuff coming out. Arne said, look at how many goals we've scored this season. That's ridiculously low for the team, but absolutely for our attackers. Ridiculous, I mean, for the standards usually. I think in the last 10 years of Liverpool, if you look at the forwards, it's so much more. And of course, as Impact, one of the forwards that we brought in for scoring goals was injured. Almost every game you see how much impact a goal can have on a performance. Goals in low-scoring sport like football, we're not playing basketball with a game ending up with 100 points against 98. It is vital. Do you think it would have had an impact if we had one of the best goal scorers in the league in the last 3, 4, 5 or 6 years available throughout the whole season? I think it's safe to say that this would have had an impact. But it's also safe to say, Arne, that you knew there was going to be issues with Isak when he was coming in. You know, to be kind about it, we knew he was going to take time to get fit for a start. Then we start the bedding in process of the team. Then you build on the relationship. So to some extent, we knew that. But yeah, the fracture of the leg can't really account for that. That was unlucky. And look, there are some things he says that make sense. But the some parts of all of it is that it's been a failure. So the reasons for it, like, fair enough, we don't score as many goals as we should or used to, absolutely. But that's on your watch. You seem to be forgetting that. That's on your watch. So, you know, why aren't we scoring more goals? Because I don't remember sitting here talking about sitters we're missing. It's been a 1 or 2, but I don't remember feeling like, oh my God, we had 9 clear-cut chances there and we couldn't take them. There's been a handful of those games at most. You know what I'm looking forward to? Isak doing his celebration when he's back and fit. I'm looking forward to next season, Itachi, and whoever's in charge. And I mean this, even if Arne's in charge. I'm looking forward to it because it will be better. We will be better. We can't ignore the fact that there's going to be more signings in the summer and there's going to be more change throughout the team. So, are we going to get the same excuses again next year if it doesn't go to plan? But I'm excited because my frustration has been that it's not that we don't have good players. We've got really, really good footballers at this club. And I really, really liked the window we had. But we haven't had the season that should have matched those expectations. There's also a fine line between making sense and making excuses. Yes, absolutely. And again, I think if there's a common denominator in a lot of his press conferences, it has been excuses. Whether it's luck, missed chances, injuries, it's just, again, excuses. Arne Slot urges caution with Isak. He said, let's say Isak comes back at the beginning of April. He's been out for 3.5 months and not trained with the team for 3.5 months. The last time he did that, it took him a while to get up to speed. I'm really, really looking forward to having him back. Don't get the expectation again so high. The minute he's on the pitch, he's at the level of what we spent that money on. I do understand that situation. I do. Because... Hang on, why is this coming through differently? Sorry. So 2 things built into this one. There we go. Sorry, one sec. There we go. On Isak, in my head, and I've said this to you guys a few times, I don't really have expectations for this season with Isak. My expectation is more for the summer and next season. And whatever happens with him this season is a bonus now. I certainly don't expect him to come in and be amazing the second he's back from injury. That's not realistic. Arne Slot maintains there is backing. This is probably the nicest club to struggle at because you feel the support. This club has always shown in different periods everyone is there for you. Now he's just talking gibberish. I mean, I'm sure Hughes and Edwards are supporting you, but you don't really have that much from the fan base. And I don't know how he can think otherwise. He doesn't. It's pretty clear. Di Marzo said, if by a slim chance we win the Champions League, you come into Liverpool and getting absolutely smashed with us, Craig. I remember Connie Square in 2019, one of the best times of my life. It would depend on what opportunity presents itself. So would I go over just to be part of the parade? No, because my anxiety wouldn't allow me to be around that many people in a confined space like that. That would be hell for me as a person. But if there was a show or something I was part of that was in the city and took it all in, yes, I'd love to be over there. But I'm just, my anxiety wouldn't let me in a parade like that or to be around that many people. I'd be a basket case. So yeah, I'd love to be over in the city for it, but I'd like to make it a working trip if possible. Craig, also, we don't play a style that gets the best out of Isak. That's why we were talking about Gordon earlier on. We know Anthony Gordon would know what type of ball Isak would want in there as well. And that is another, plus point for me with him. Craig, do you think we were blinded by all the big signs and forgot about squad depth? So, for me, yes. I have to put my hands up on that one and say I probably was, yeah. I can't speak for everyone else, but if I'm being really honest about it, yeah, I probably did get a little bit carried away. And look, it's understandable, right? We've seen us break the British transfer record twice in one window. So it's not surprising we got carried away and excited. But you have to remember, we're doing that on the back of winning the league. So we naturally think, okay, we've won the league. We're good, us. And then we go and bring in, even better players on top of it. So, yeah, um, looking back on it, but we did talk about the centre back situation as fans quite a bit. But yeah, it's a bit more squad depth. But the tough thing about adding in squad depth is some of the signings probably won't excite people in the same way that Averts and Isak will. So if we're bringing in players, let's say 25, 30 million to build out the squad a bit, it might not be the most exciting thing in the world, but I think we're going to learn the lessons this year as fans. And if we do see some of these squad building players brought in, a bit more understanding of it than just thinking, well, we just need this name for this. We do need quality in each position. What do you think of Fabregas? Would you consider him for the job? Although Arteta's going to lose everything and get sacked, probably replaced by him. I wouldn't rule out Barcelona in Fabregas's near future. Premier League job could come, yeah. Maybe Arsenal, maybe somewhere else. I don't know is the honest answer, because I haven't watched Como and I don't really know much about Fabregas's style of management or the way he plays. So, I've kept an eye on the results a bit, but I don't watch the game, so I couldn't even tell you what formation Fabregas plays. Right, where are we on this? So we asked, would you take Murillo over Canade? That is our final poll of the evening. We've got about 5 minutes left on tonight's stream, so if you haven't voted, please do. So tomorrow, here's what's happening. The preview is coming out in the morning at about 10 o'clock. Then I'll have a news video at about 4 o'clock, and then we'll have another news video at about 10 p.m. tomorrow night. There won't be a live stream tomorrow, but we will be then back for a busy day on Sunday. The watch along of the Spurs game, we're starting at 3:15. Then we'll have our match reaction player ratings video and either a late night agenda or a news video coming out that night as well. What's this one? Right, let me read this out from Paul Joyce. 1 second. Liverpool clearly hope to avoid being plunged into transition due to the sheer amount of transfers in and out, but reality has proved different and also coincided with the powers of established stars waning. No one at Liverpool envisaged Mohamed Salah's drop-off, but others have been wasteful. Wirtz, for example, has had 62 shots, scoring 6, which represents a 9.7% conversion rate. Of his 12 big chances, he has dispatched only 3. Isak's absence has come with Liverpool being short of Conor Bradley since early January when he suffered a serious knee injury against Arsenal. His availability would have eased persistent problems at right back, where an adjustment was always required after Trent Alexander-Arnold's departure to Real Madrid. Inevitably, the chopping and changing in personnel will have negatively affected Salah, who had played 70% of all matches alongside Trent Alexander-Arnold since arriving at the club in 2017. Right, but we knew all of this in the summer about, a new fullback coming in and that was going to be a change for Mo. If they were that concerned about it, maybe they should have worked harder to keep Trent. Maybe they shouldn't have let his contract get to that point. Maybe they should have tied him down to a new deal before Klopp left. Because remember, the club could have, but they didn't want to tell Trent that, he was signing up to be with Jurgen for the foreseeable, with Jurgen, them knowing at that point that Jurgen was going to be departing. So they didn't pull a fast one on him. Again, comes back to us being the nice guys again. Sometimes that phrase, nice guys finish last, has some meaning to it. Spurs game on my birthday. If we win, can you all thank me? If we lose, I turn off my phone. Yeah, that sounds like a fair deal, mate. That sounds like, either way, have a wonderful birthday, Rick. Have a lovely Sunday. Look, I do think we're going to win for what it's worth. Jeff Porter, how are you, Jeff? So we definitely need players like Bajcetic and Dan's fit. They've shown what they're capable of, adding in terms of squad depth and quality. Would have loved them available all this season. It would have been interesting, Jeff, to see, would have been good to have them available. It would have been interesting to see, how much opportunities they may have gotten as well. It's been nice to see over the last month or two anyway, more Neoni getting more minutes. That's good. I really like him as a player as well. So, again, I'm such a pessimistic fucker, but I'm reading that Paul Joyce piece and I'm thinking, okay, so the club's been handed out some data they want pushed out to some journalists about narratives, about being unlucky. That's how I perceive those type of pieces. Is that right? Is it a coincidence they're all writing about the same thing all of a sudden? No, I don't believe in coincidences. Arne also said, I don't think it's been helpful for the team that many times we felt we're there, another player got injured, another player got injured. We constantly felt we had to do with 12, 13 players. Fuck off. You chose a small squad. You know, one of the things he was brought in for with Ruben Peters was injury prevention. It's like all of these things that he was given credit for before he came in are now being used to try and justify more failure. Fuck off. Just stop it. It's always a boost for a team to have everyone available. Look at the recent Paris Saint-Germain game and Kvaratskhelia came in for 30 minutes or so. Yeah, might that be, Arne, because they invested in more players? Might that be that they built a fucking squad out? Perhaps. Or they rotate a bit more. You have players that you kept at the club that you don't want, like Federico Chiesa, like Harvey Elliott. You chose their paths. You chose to go into this season with Chiesa still at the club. And now he's talking about lack of options. We could have sold Chiesa and brought some money in. But he didn't. And he hasn't wanted them for 2 years, but he's still here. And then he has the cheek to... That's 14 million quid in wages over 2 years for a player he doesn't want. And again, we all knew Bradley was injury prone, as Reform said. Arne said it himself. So it's just more, just excuse making nonsense. Do you know what gets me most about all these quotes though? Is that nobody seems to push back. Nobody in the media seems to say, well, can you stop now, Arne? Can you stop talking about PSG? Or do you want to fuck off and manage PSG? Because I'm fed up of his little PSG hard on. Like, honestly. He goes on like PSG are be all and end all. We're Liverpool Football Club. Liverpool Football Club. We have 6 European Cups. We're the most successful team in English football history. And this lad's banging on about Paris Saint-Germain, who are funded by petrodollars. You often call him a walking contradiction. He is. He is, Ben. And look, I just can't wait for Sunday so we can stop talking about him and start talking about the football again and hopefully enjoy ourselves. Because I do feel like we've got a couple of good days coming up for Galatasaray. I think we beat them. I think we book our place in the quarterfinals of the Champions League. And I think we beat Spurs. And hopefully United or Chelsea drop points and we can sneak our way back up there again. Right, so on this one we asked, would you take Murillo over Ibrahim Konate? And 66% of you guys said you would, and 34% you would not. Right, I'm going to say good night, ladies and gents. Appreciate you all. It's been another great stream. And thank you to Keen in the background as well for sending me on those quotes from the late night press stuff or from the embargoed stuff. Really appreciate that. Remember, no live stream tomorrow, but I will see you guys on Sunday at 3:15. There's a clip from the podcast gone out as well at 10:30. Just went out on the main channel, so do have a watch of that if you can. But most importantly, whatever you're doing this weekend, I hope you, your family have a wonderful weekend. Be safe, have fun, and we'll see you soon. Much love. Bye.